Germany is marking 80 years since the Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union. The surprise attack on June 22, 1941 would become the biggest and bloodiest front in World War II and end in Nazi Germany's complete destruction. By the end of the war, an estimated 27 million Soviet citizens had died, including 14 million civilians. From the beginning, Operation Barbarossa as the invasion was called, was conducted as a war of annihilation. The Germans also treated Soviet prisoners of war extremely brutally. They were executed, starved or died on forced marches from the front lines. The Nazis took some 5.7 million Soviet prisoners of war over the course of 4 years. It's estimated that more than 3 million Soviet POWs died, making them one of the largest groups of Nazi victims. And Germany's president has been marking that somber anniversary here in Berlin. Frank-Walter Steinmeier attended a ceremony at the German-Russian Museum in the capital. In his speech, Steinmeier addressed criticism from former Soviet republics like Ukraine and Belarus that their millions of victims in World War II were neglected by Germany in the commemoration activities. President Steinmeier warned that acts of remembrance, if not carried out carefully, could themselves lead to new divisions.
I am very concerned that the painful history we are remembering today is increasingly becoming a source of alienation in itself. When our view of history is reduced to a single perspective, when there's no longer an exchange about the different perspectives of a historical event, or such an exchange is rejected entirely, then history can be rewritten to serve as an instrument for new conflicts and new forms of resentment. I firmly believe that we must not allow history to be weaponized.
Germany's President Frank-Walter Steinmeier speaking there. And I'm now joined by DW political correspondent Nina Hase to talk about this. Nina, Steinmeier seems to be saying there has not been enough awareness of the crimes committed against the population of former Soviet republics like Ukraine or Belarus. What does he mean?
Well, he said in his speech, he gave a very personal example that growing up as a young boy in Western Germany, he was completely unaware that there had been a prisoner of war camp just a few kilometers away from his home just 2 decades previously. And that issue was not addressed at school. Parents didn't talk about that chapter, he said. And so this is just one of the examples where he criticized Germans for not paying enough attention to that really painful chapter in their history. And to be honest, that he said that the remembrance didn't change until a few years ago. The attention paid to the Eastern victims of the Nazi past until German reunification. And since then, Germany has tried to better integrate the commemoration of those atrocities into the collective remembrance of the Nazi past. But of course, it is difficult to deal with. And of course, sometimes it does lead to diplomatic tensions, also because the geopolitical map has changed compared to what it looked like 80 years ago. And there are now conflicts between some of the countries that used to belong to the same bloc, to the Soviet Union. If you take the military conflict between Russia and Ukraine, for example, or the fact that the Baltic states, some of them have now, they have now joined the European Union. And so, in fact, today's event was also overshadowed by that conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Before the event, the ambassadors of 7 out of 15 of the countries that are now the successors of Soviet republics said that they would boycott today's events because they say Germany is not differentiating enough, and for that Germany equates the Soviet Union too often with what is modern day Russia alone.
So is that going to change then? What concrete actions is Germany taking?
Well, it is baby steps, of course, and like I say, the process did start after German reunification, and high-ranking politicians in Germany have tried to start by actually going to those places, going to those prisoner of war camps. President Steinmeier himself was foreign minister before he became president, and in that position, he was, for example, he was the first German politician to actually commemorate the victims in Belarus on a trip there to the biggest concentration camp during Soviet occupation that is located near Minsk, and that history completely risked to be forgotten. So Steinmeier kept going to those places. He went to Volgograd as well, where he met with war veterans, and German politicians are now saying in their speeches that it was part of the Nazis' official plan to kill the population in the east and get rid of entire nations that way.
DW's political correspondent Nina Hase there. Thank you, Nina.